Hello, guys. Welcome again. Are you doing? Are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Okay, today we want to continue our topic, which is describe and group objects. We are still under matter. How can we describe objects and how can we group them? Then our objective for the week is all students will be able to describe objects and know how to group them. They will be able to describe objects and know how to group them. And what to know, I know you're familiar with this now. They are what? Solid, liquid, gas, moved, container, and water. And also matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Then also ways to describe objects, I mean the properties. How can you describe your object? You can describe by the color, by the size, shape, weight, texture, sink or float. Color, size, shape, weight, texture, sink or float. Color can be blue, can be red, can be yellow, can be purple, can be white, can be black. So you can describe with any color. So when you see an object, oh, this is ash, this is yellow, this is green, okay? Then you can describe with its size, tall, short, big, small. Then you can describe the shape. It looks rectangular in shape, square in shape, round in shape. You can describe with the shape. Then weight. It can be heavy or light. My table is heavy, my book is light. Then texture. It can be smooth or rough. My sponge is rough while the surface of my table is smooth. Then it can sink or float. That is what we are discussing today. Object can sink, some object can sink, and why some object can float. Is that okay? So I said matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Now, objects can sink or float. Objects can sink or float. So float means to stay on top of the water. Because I know you're going to ask, I don't understand this. Yeah, but you need to know that anything that floats stays on the water, stays on top of the water. Now look at this. Can you see this? They are on the water. They are on top of the water, not down. But look at this, the rock, the key, the block, they fall to the bottom of the liquid, of the water. Can you see it? This is up, and this is down. This is down, up, down. So some objects can float while some objects can sink. Some objects can float and some objects can sink. So sink means to fall to the bottom of a liquid. Liquid is water. Don't worry, I'm teaching you that also, 3 states of matter. So look at this picture also. This is what sink. Sink, float. Then this is what float. Sink, float, sink, float. So some objects can sink and why some objects can float. All right, so let's look at this. Sink or float. Then I have some examples here of objects that can sink, like the penny, like the nail, the key. They can what? Sink. Scissors, they can sink. Why float? Object like pencil, they float, like ruler, like leaf, they also float. They also float. Is that okay? All right. So let's continue our lesson. Okay. Now I did this for you guys. What are the objects? What are objects have you seen that can float in water? What are objects? Okay, guys, what are objects you've seen that can float in water? I have seen a baby toy, bat toy float. I've seen a cork. Cork is used to cover a wine bottle, float. I've seen leaves float. I've seen people. I've seen whales. I've seen sticks. All these things float. Then don't forget leaf. Leaf is a one. Then if it's two or three, they are leaves. Is that okay? Singular and plural. So leaf, leaves. So if it's one, you can say leaf. If you have a lot of leaves flowing, you call it leaves. Not if it's more than one, you call it leaves. So let me just take a recap again Float means to stay on top of water, while sink means to fall to the bottom of a liquid. Object can sink or float. Object can sink or float. We've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. Stay safe. See you in the next video. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.